Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the Student Development Administrators Update for March 2024. Thank you for joining us. A reminder to mute your microphones and your telephones, please. And unless you have a question at some point when we pause for questions, of course, feel free to unmute at that time. You can also put questions in the chat box. I'll be monitoring that. And so you can place your questions there if you would like, if that works out better for you. We think we have a really good bit of information for you this afternoon, and we also have several questions we received from the online agenda item request, so we'll cover those questions as well. But first and foremost, without further ado, our fearless leader, Dr. Merritt, has a couple of updates for us. So Dr. Merritt, the mic is yours.
Well, thank you, JW. Hey, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well across the 58. What better topic I could think about starting with than accreditation. I mean, it just it doesn't start out any better than that. So interestingly enough, I just got off a call with a consultant that we have here at the system now, who's contracted with us to support our accreditation efforts across the system. So let me just kind of back up and give you some history. I don't know if we've given this group the full landscape of where we are. So you all know that last year accreditation law was passed that requires our colleges and our UNC institutions in our state to switch accreditors each cycle. So as you are coming up in your accreditation cycle, technically by law, it says that you must, and the interpretation that we've received from the policymakers or policy analysts is that you must attempt to switch accreditors. A few things that we've done as a system, and we've been engaging. You might have heard from your president or your SAC-COC liaison. Some of you may even be liaisons. We've had a couple virtual calls with presidents and liaisons back in February and back in March to keep them updated. But a couple of things that we've done as a system office to help support this effort. Again, I should go ahead and say we as a system are not accredited, or system office, we've largely been totally uninvolved in accreditation over the years. But what we're trying to do to support efforts of the system is to kind of do some things jointly with our UNC system partners to make sure that we're aligning our efforts and aligning our guidance that is provided to comply with this law. So one is back in December, a request for information was issued out to the 5 accreditors other than SAC-COC. So nationally, we issued this RFI. The due date for the response to that RFI was February 29th, so it was just last week. And then 2, we actually, a couple representatives from our office and a couple reps from the UNC office went to the Department of Education at the end of January to meet with representatives that deal with accreditation in DC. So we've done that, and we are in the process right now of we have engaged with a consultant. Our state board approved some funds a couple weeks ago to hire a consultant who is analyzing those RFI responses from the other accreditors. Some of the things that we've asked these other accreditors are: 1, would you be open to welcoming all of the institutions in North Carolina to your agency? 2, do you have capacity to do that? 3, what are the costs involved with moving and switching accreditors, initial costs and then maintenance costs after that. So what we're trying to do right now is to put together information that will help us make a decision about how to move forward to comply with this law. So all that to say is that we are right now, I'm actually in conversations with our Presidents Association and scheduling another call for end of March to engage with the presidents and the SAC-COC liaisons about next steps. And we are at the point now where we have information. 3 out of the 5 accreditors nationwide responded favorably to North Carolina, saying that they would be open to welcoming North Carolina community colleges. 2 out of the 3 of those accreditors one specific to junior colleges, so that really wouldn't apply, but two out of the three were welcome. We're open to welcoming all UNC and North Carolina institutions. So all that to say is at the system level, we are trying to help kind of shepherd this conversation and facilitate the conversation. But I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions and some complexities with the matter. And I think the other thing that I will say is that we are, as we continue to learn more information, we are prepared here probably in the next month or so to meet with some, jointly with UNC, meet with some key representatives from the legislature to talk through what we've discovered and some of the complexities of this bill, because the way the bill's written does not exactly line up and align with how accreditation really works. So my email's there. Happy to answer any questions as you all have them. But I think we're moving forward. JW, do you typically take questions during this call, or do you have them in the chat? How's that?
Yes, sir, that's fine. So if anybody has any questions about that, you feel free to unmic and unmute, not unmic, or throw your question in the chat, whichever way you feel more comfortable.
Yeah. I'll pause to see if there's any questions right now, but again, we're starting off with the bank. Such a fun topic to start off with.
Yes, it is. Great for a Wednesday afternoon.
Right.
Or Tuesday.
So I don't see anyone unmiking or any questions coming in. So but feel free if you have questions, raise your hand or let us know. I'll just kind of shift to, I think we have that flopped. It's Propel NC, but NC Propel. I hear people calling it both, but Propel NC, I think you all have probably heard about it by now, but there is a proposal that's been endorsed by our state board. And if you haven't seen it, there was a great article that came out. I believe it was either today or today's the thing. Yeah, it came out today on EdNC, but it was released by our communications office here at the system office, I believe yesterday. But check out EdNC. There's a great article, 5 things you need to know about Propel NC. So I think the major way to explain this, if you've not read about it or heard about it yet, is it's a shift in our funding model. Or what some of us like to refer to as our business model here in North Carolina and our North Carolina community colleges. So as you all have probably, some of you have grown up in the system, we've all been trained on, the tiers, tier 1A, tier 1B, tier 2, and for Con Ed, tier 3. We largely, if you refer to tier 1A, you could be talking about anything from automotive to nuclear maintenance to nursing. So so there is there's a shift with Propel NC for us to be more transparent and more visionary in how we do business, especially instructionally. So one of the things that we continue to kind of become a tagline is this will shift the focus from tiers to careers. So it really what has happened, our presidents associations and leaders there and some folks here at the system and came together in work groups last fall and worked on this model that really incentivizes high demand, high wage programs. It doesn't disincentivize our existing programming. So no programs and no prefixes would lose funding. But what it does is it would move all healthcare programs, all engineering, information technology, advanced manufacturing programs, no matter if it's curriculum or continuing education. It really truly creates a model where there's parity funding and within instruction is instruction. It's going to make it easier. To me, it would make it easier for the students. It'll make it easier for our lawmakers, for us when we talk about the instruction and talk about the opportunities for education and training that we offer across our system. It will help tell the story better about how we directly align with workforce needs. So with that comes an ask of the legislature. So there is a considered ask that we are putting forth. I think the actual total ask is about $93 million recurring. So but it's not just asking for higher level in modernization of our FTE tiers. I think about 68 million out of that 93 is actually increasing the amount of funding we get instructionally. But I think for what's really exciting for this group, and considering you were all from the student development realm, is the base funding that we receive in our system has not been updated since the 1980s. So when you think about the base funding in our system, it's what pays all of us, right? It's what pays. I grew up in student services. It paid me as a counselor. It's that funding that provides those wraparound services for our colleges to be, or for our colleges to be able to offer services for our students. So there's there would be a significant increase in the funding for the institutional and academic base. I think system-wide, is $24.4 million recurring. So we're looking at this ask from an instructional standpoint and really focusing on those critical workforce needs in our system, but it's also really taking a look at a serious look at the wraparound services that we can provide across our system as well. So all that to say is, that's a mouthful, but I encourage you to go. I think someone dropped it. I believe that was Aaron. Thank you for dropping that into the chat. But take a look at that that article in EdNC or on our system website. And if you have any questions or feedback, I think JW and I are going to be at the Student Development Administrators, or the Student Development Conference on Friday too. And I'd really like to spark some discussion and hear what folks are thinking about as far as propellancy then. So that's what I've got, and I appreciate any questions that you have. But thanks for what you all do, and I look forward to learning more on this call. So thanks, JW.
Oh, no problem, Dr. Merritt. Thank you for being here with us today. While everybody is thinking about their plethora of questions for Dr. Merritt, I do want to reiterate, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this is still in proposal form. So the next step in this process that the President's Association and the State Board have endorsed, now there's advocacy efforts with the General Assembly. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. Thank you. I said the word endorsed, but I probably should have emphasized that more. The State Board has endorsed this, and right now we're in advocacy phase. And I think your presidents and our system office, our president, everyone's kind of selling the idea of propellancy right now. So yes, definitely still in advocacy phase. And the question that I'll go ahead and answer, a question that we've continued to receive is this going to be implemented if it's not fully funded? I think that is a question that folks here at the system and our Presidents Association and in conjunction with our State Board is yet to answer. But I'll tell you, the State Board is the one that has the decision-making power over that. But I think that is a question that I've heard a number of times over the past week that is still out there and to be answered. But so yeah, but it's exciting for a system, and I think it would be pretty revolutionary. But yeah, thanks, JW, for making that important point.
Yes, sir, no problem. It's a team effort without a doubt. And so this is a great time for us to hear your thoughts and your questions, because the thoughts and questions you may have could be similar thoughts and questions we will receive from the General Assembly. So don't hesitate to send your questions to either Dr. Merritt or myself, and we'll do our best to answer those questions. I'm not seeing any hands raised or anything in the chat. So I'll go ahead and move forward to some of the questions that we received online. Thank you so much for submitting your questions, because these kind of questions really help us make sure that this meeting is of value to you. The first one is in Monty Hickman's area, and it has to do with the CRM. You may have heard over the past several months that we have been advocating for and working on the paperwork and the application to submit a potential of CRMs for convenience contracts at the state level. That would be similar to your LMSs with either Moodle or Blackboard or something like that. So Monty Hickman's been working on that as a part of that team that's working on that effort. Sadly, the update is, things move very slowly, especially in the world of procurement and IT procurement. So right now, there's nothing official that's been decided. I know that a lot of contracts are ending in June. As soon as we know something, we'll definitely let everybody else know. And Monty, if you're on, Anything else you would want to add to that? Is that a good answer to the question?
That's a great answer, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So in the future, if you have questions or if you start working on your local contracts and you're wondering what's going on, feel free to reach out to either Monty or myself, and we'll do our best to let you know what the update is and what's going on. Any questions about that before I move forward? None? Okay, thank you. So the next question we received was about some of the federal grants, especially the long list of long leaf grants that we had from the federal funding with GEERS or EANS. And so the question is basically, is the reporting still going on? And since there was several different long leaves, I didn't know for sure which one the person was asking about, but the long leaf complete and the Student Support Services grant, which was a long leave commitment type of grant. Both of those have ended and reporting is not required anymore. If that's not the grant you were talking about, please feel free to go ahead and ask that question. Thank you, Maggie. The outreach grant is still going, and the outreach grant is with Dr. J.J. Evans, and that one ends in December 2024. So you still have time to utilize those funds to help serve your students and your community. And since you brought up the outreach grant there, Maggie, I'll go ahead and mention that it looks like spending rates are going very slowly. So please find a way to spend those funds so we're not sending them back. If, as you got into the middle of that grant, you feel like that your application needs to be adjusted or changed, please work with Dr. Evans or myself, and we'll do our best to kind of broaden or change the intent, your intent of that, the uses of that grant, so that way you can spend the money. So did that help, Maggie? Did that answer your question? Okay, so we'll go on to our next question that we received, and that has to do with the Strategic Enrollment Management Initiative. And again, that's something that Monty Hickman is working on. I just saw him yesterday diligently working on the guidebook. It looks really good. I like the format that he's come up with. We're hoping to have that developed and available for people in the near future. Once Monty has that published out to everybody, then I think Monty plans a series of webinars on each of those chapters of the guidebook. So that way you can talk about or think about which chapter is most important for you and which one would you like to try to implement at your institution. Monty, anything you'd like to add to that one?
Just pretty much I have a draft of it. It's not complete, but I have a draft that I'm probably going to talk about during the conference this week. And so I'm going to give the colleges the opportunity to see the framework that I have for it and to give their input so we don't go too far in designing it and then they say, let's change it. So I'm gonna give colleges the opportunity to provide some input on that on Thursday, I think.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Monty. I appreciate that. Any other questions about the Strategic Enrollment Management Initiative? Okay, not hearing any, then we'll go on to the next one, and that has to do with the finish line grants. And we've been hearing this concern about finish line grants pretty much since the inception of the program, and that is the unexpected needs definition. And we serve a lot of students that are in financial hardship, period. And that's a lot of the students that we're trying to help with their economic mobility. And so the unexpected term at the beginning kind of gets in the way of us serving those students. And so we've heard that loud and clear, and we're trying to make adjustments as we can to the eligibility criteria with finish line grants. So you may know that the funding source has recently changed to appropriated funds. And so that adjustment allowed us to change from the 50% completion threshold to a 25% completion threshold. And we hope that that has assisted a little bit with you being able to serve more students. We're hoping over the years to come, as we assess the Finish Line grant, that we'll be able to make additional changes and improvements to the program because the appropriated funds have a little more flexibility than the federal funds did. So we're working on that, and we've heard you loud and clear. Continue to nudge us, though, as we work on that project to make sure you're able to serve your students with those funds. Any other questions about the Finish Line grant, and especially with this comment? Okay, I'm not hearing or seeing any more questions. So I think Lucretia's on to give us a little update about where we are with developmental education.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Good
Yes, ma'am.
afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lucretia White, and I am one of the co-directors for the Developmental Education Realignment Project. Dr. Katrina Arnold from Pitt Community College, she is the other co-director. And I would just like to share some DEVID updates with you. So firstly, great news. We're so excited that on February 21st, the Course Curriculum Review Committee, also known as the CCRC, officially approved the Developmental Education Realignment Project. We are really, really excited about this. And this means that 29 courses will be archived in summer 2025. And those 29 courses include our RISE courses, DREs, DMAs, and DMS classes. 25 courses will be revised to remove state level requisites, and then 5 new courses will be offered. The new full implementation for the new courses will be in fall 2025, and the 5 new courses are English 025, College English Skills, and this class can be a prereq or a co-req, and it prepares students for English 110 and English 111. Then there's English 045, English Skills Support. This class also prepares students for 110 and 111, English 110 and 111, and this class is a co-req class. The next class is in Math 025, which is Concepts of Essential Math and Statistics. This class can be a prereq or a co-req, and it is geared towards students taking Math 110, 143, and 152. The next course is Math 035, Concepts of Algebra. This course can also be a prereq or a co-req, and this class prepares students for Math 121 and Math 171. And then the last course is Math 045, Math Skills Support. This is a co-req class, and it supports all levels of Math 110, 143, 121, 151, and 171. I know that was a lot. And the Math 025 and the Math 035 courses, they are all 3 class hours and 3 credit hours, whereas the 045 courses, which are used as the co-reqs, are 1 class hour, 2 lab hours for a total of 2 credit hours. All right, are there any questions about the classes?
I think the only thing I would mention is I think we have that in written format someplace, Lucretia. And so if we have that on a slide or something, if you could send that to me, and then I can share that out to the rest of the group. That way we're not rewinding the recording to catch all of that.
I'm sorry, yes, and I do apologize if I said that too fast. But please,
no.
reach out to Katrina or me if you have any questions about the new courses, and we'll definitely get that to Dr. Kelly. Just a couple of other updates. One, the English and the math teams will reconvene in April to start developing contextualized learning resources for the new courses. We also plan, there is also a plan to integrate additional advisors in the professional development process, and this will help us to have a seamless implementation of the new courses and the approved framework. And then the last thing that we wanted to mention was unweighted high school GPA is still the first measure of placement. So we want everyone to keep that in mind. And then the placement subgroup of the Developmental Education Advisory Council, they want us to emphasize that we are not going back to a test all, test everyone model. So they just want us to keep emphasizing GPA will continue to be the first measure of placement. And then that subgroup is also working to discuss current placement test options that are used at the colleges and support, and to also find some supports to support the flexibility of placement within the approved framework. So the placement test subgroup is going to send out some recommendations. We don't have the date of when that will occur yet, but we will definitely get that information out to you. Again, that is all the updates that I have. Are there any questions for me?
if I'm at a college, what would you think I should be thinking about at this point in preparation for implementation? What would be your advice?
Okay, one piece of advice is start thinking about the model that your college would like to use. Do you want to do the prereq only model? Do you want to use the co-req model only model? Or if your college wants to have a what do you call it? The hybrid model where you
Hybrid.
offer prereq and co-req like we're currently doing with some of the RISE courses. So start thinking about the model. Another thing is to start thinking about some placement test options for the students who will need the placement test. Again, the unweighted high school GPA is the first measure of placement. Another thing is the framework also requires colleges to develop a list of mandatory supports for students who have an unweighted high school GPA of 2.4 and below. So start exploring some supports that your colleges would also like to offer.
Perfect, thank you. And then I think the other thing that I would add to that before we turn the mic over to Dr. Merritt is that we have engaged with the registrar and the registrar BSA to talk about colleague impact, both in setting up from a registration perspective and advising perspective, and then also from a curriculum management perspective. So we are working with the colleague experts to talk about if there is any impact on those operations. So if there is, we of course will be sharing out about that as well. Dr. Merritt, you have some wisdom for us?
I walked out for a second, so I might have missed this, but Lucretia, did you mention I know you just mentioned the choosing your course delivery and course design methods. Did you mention the opportunities with the consultant in April?
No, sir. Since we
You
had
didn't?
not finalized everything, I wanted to leave that to you. So thank
Yeah,
you.
I think the dates that you all created are great. I think what you all should know is that the system is contracted with a person that is an expert, national expert in developmental education. She came at the recommendation of one of our colleges, and she's affiliated with CCRC, the research National Research Center out of Columbia. So she in April, there's going to be opportunities that will be communicated out to the system, but Lucretia and Katrina and the group has been working with her to what she's going to do is a series of webinars or really virtual meetings with the central part of the state, the eastern part, and the western part to engage with your departments about best practices and just evidence-based research in developmental ed to help you really make decisions locally about your course design and your placement options and really all things that, because these are really big decisions that you're going to be making institutionally, and the way that this alignment project has been fleshed out is really in alignment with the policy recommendations that came through our Presidents Association last year that really just creates more flexible options across our state to make these decisions. So just look out for that. And it's going to be, in I forget the exact dates that we decided to go, Lucretia, but we'll be sending those out pretty soon. They actually went out to the presidents yesterday, JW. So I don't know if you've forwarded that email out that went to the presidents yesterday morning, but we always try to let our presidents know first and then follow to everyone else. So so look out for those dates to meet with a consultant later. There'll be presentations, but there'll also be office hours virtually to meet with her as well.
Yeah, and thank you for that reminder. And yes, I did forward Dr. Merritt's email to the presidents to the Student Development Administrators listserv, so it should be in your inbox if you haven't had a chance to see that yet. I know we've covered a lot with developmental education in like 6 minutes, and it's a huge project. So we'll pause here for a second to see if there's any more questions. So as you're thinking, I think I waited long enough, is if you have other questions, feel free to reach out to Katrina or Lucretia or Dr. Merritt or myself. We'll be happy to answer any questions. I think the takeaway is that now that we have courses, we can start talking about professional development, placement, and impact on colleague and workflow. We really couldn't talk about those until we really had the courses in place. And so now that we have the courses in place, you should expect to see a ramping up of that professional development and also of placement guidance from the system office. If you have any questions, please let us know. But thank you, Lucretia. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your work and Katrina's work, and hope you have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
So next up is JJ Evans. JJ, what you have for us this afternoon?
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. Wanted to give you an update on a couple things. So all of our program contacts for MMSI have received not only the joint legislative report that was sent to the General Assembly this year. So this year was the first time the General Assembly has requested a legislative report on the activities, expenditures, et cetera, for MMSI. And so that report is public. You can find it in the February State Board minutes if your institution doesn't have the MSI grant, but you want to see what information was included. We also have contacted all of our institutions to remind them to make sure that they expend not only the underserved and outreach grant, but the MMSI grant. Wanted to again reiterate that the MMSI grant ends on June 30th. So those funds may need to take priority if you are trying to determine whether which departmental budget it should hit if you have mixed activities that could either be spent from either fund. We are under our state expenditure rate for MMSI, meaning we have more money left over than more money that we've spent thus far. And so that percentage needs to quickly flip. Otherwise, our business office will be sending some additional emails to some college administrators just to remind them that we want to use these funds before they go back to our state. I'll jump next to the underserved outreach and advising grant. We are well on our way to December 31st of 2024 and having all of these funds expended for the various projects that are taking place. We are receiving ongoing requests for maybe last minute changes to program activities and things of that nature. So if you want to send a request in, or if you have something that you just want to run by us to make sure that it would be an approved expenditure, please feel free to email us and we will review that and have a response to you as quickly as possible. We typically, if you haven't been reading the chat, so we are still sending out monthly reminders for the underserved outreach and advising monthly report. We typically wait for the business office to reconcile all of the records for the prior month, which typically comes out around the 10th or the 15th of each month. So we'll send that reminder along with the expenditures as it ended from the prior month, so you know what the business office is telling our business office in case there are any discrepancies there. Last thing I will say for the underserved outreach and advising grant is that there have been a number of requests for technology, personnel, vehicles, advertising, marketing, and design. We try to be as liberal as possible to allow institutions to determine what strategy they feel best impacts advising or outreach at their institution. So I've only seen the business office maybe reject one or two things, but we want to make sure that we give colleges the ability and flexibility to do what is necessary to serve their populations. And lastly, on the student travel front, of course, there's always ongoing travel in student life, whether it's PTK, Skills USA, etc. Our large SGA conference is at Durham Sheraton Imperial, April 5th through 7th. We welcome all colleges to attend. Registration is $150. It's currently open. It is Dreamville weekend, so I know others may consider going to the music festival here in downtown Raleigh, but we would love to have you and your students come visit with us at our system conference. And we hope to have a number of great workshops, activities, and of course, always a little fun.
Excellent. Thank you, JJ. Do have one comment slash question in the chat. Any insights or takeaways from the MMSI Joint Legislative Report that you think you could share with the group? What would you say are the biggest takeaways?
I think a couple things. Many of our so we have 21 colleges engaged in various projects across many populations. So we have projects that are focused on Con Ed, projects that are focused on dual enrollment and increasing like retention and access rates for minority males there. I think each college has picked a unique project and population to serve students as best as possible. Of course, you hear rumors of other states, taking money away for any type of DEI related programming. Of course, that's always on top of mind. We haven't heard any official legislation or anything of that nature, at least as it relates to our prior cycle. Who knows what's going to happen in our upcoming legislative cycle? But as of right now, we hope to continue to receive these funds for the foreseeable future moving forward.
Okay. Thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. And I believe you have an announcement for the group here this afternoon.
He's going to make me say it. So
I am.
Oh man, that's terrible. Next Friday will be my last day at the system office, but never fear, I'm staying in the community college family. I'll be transitioning to South Piedmont to serve as the VP of Student Services. So I'm excited. I'm going to miss our system office family here, but ready to get back to our students and serve on the front lines directly.
Wonderful. Thank you, JJ. We're excited for you. Congratulations. And your tenure here at the system office has been outstanding. I appreciated your leadership and your passion for students over the past 7 years or so. So thank you, JJ, for everything. You will be missed, but don't worry, I'll be calling you if I ever need advice and wisdom on your expertise. Thank you for everything you've done, man. So that takes us to the Finish Line Grants update. Really, the update is not about and I want to make this very clear that this is not about the appropriated funds that we most recently received with Finish Line Grants. This is about the EANS 2 funding, also known with the purpose code of the 559. You may recall back in December, we asked everybody to project how much funds you would not be spending, and you could send back to the system office for redistribution across the state. We've been working with the governor's office, and you may have noticed that we did not recall those funds. And the reason why is we've been able to advocate for you to keep those funds, but then expand the use of those funds. So we will be taking a board item to the March state board meeting, which will expand those funds to where you can continue to use them for unexpected financial hardship of your students for emergency grants. But you could also use it for mental health and wellness, or you could use it for outreach and advising topics. We will have that announcement out probably here in the next few days once the board item is published and has gone public. And we'll also have a webinar to have a little bit of a Q&A about how you might be able to use those funds, because you will not only be able to keep those 559 funds with those expanded purposes, but we will also be giving you additional funds for those expanded purposes. So we're very excited about that, and we're very grateful to the governor's office for working with us and being very flexible and coming up with different ways that we can spend these monies, and then also to be flexible so that way each of the colleges can decide what is best for their institution and their culture. So the bottom line is, keep your eyes open about a Q&A webinar coming up to talk about the expansion of the EANS 2 monies with the purpose code of the 559. So you'll be being able to keep your money and also being able to get more money for those expanded purposes. Any questions about that? And I see all the congratulations there in the chat box. I concur 100%. Dr. Hickman, anything you'd like to say about the Common Digital Transcript?
All right, I will say that as you see the law up there from the General Assembly for the digital transcript, currently we're working with CFI and our education partners, UNC, DPI, eventually Independent College and University, to look at a digital transcript that would allow students to have one local location to go to receive their transcripts, and all colleges will receive the same transcript. One thing we're running into, and I sent out an email to several colleges, is we're trying to determine what colleges actually use those fees for, transcript fees, because potentially the cost of the digital transcript will be free for students. And so I'm having a couple colleges send the information in. So I will send another email out later to some colleges because I'm not getting as much feedback as I thought. And so one thing I'm asking the colleges, so if you receive that from me, please respond quickly if you can, because it is time sensitive. I'm gonna ask, one, how much do you charge for your transcripts? And two, what are you using those fees for? And so we really want to make sure that through this law and through this process, we really do consider the colleges and what they may be losing or gaining during this digital transcript process.
Yeah, thank you, Monty. So Monty's
Yes, sir.
serving as that representative. I'm serving in that group, and so is Brian McCullough, kind of from the technical side. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that this is in the design phase. We have no idea what this is going to look like. Are we going to look at a third-party vendor? Are we going to, is CFI going to develop something in-house? How would we work with the student clearinghouse? The big hurdle, as everybody on this call is probably very much aware of, is there's not a universal ID for our students. So how will we track students between DPI, community colleges, and the universities? So there's there's a lot more questions than there are of answers right now.
Yeah, and this may be a two-phase process. So there may be a short-term process. So be ready that we may say this is short-term, and then there'll be another process coming later. So I know that we do put a lot on your shoulders, but just know this is something that we can't avoid. So.
Right. Thank you, Monty. And then who are you sending that survey out to? Brian would like to know.
I sent it out to the admissions application team. We do have community college family. We do have a admissions application and task force. And so that consists of admissions and registrars, representatives. And so usually they're the ones who review the admissions transcript changes that you have. So that email will go out to them just to get a sense of what they're thinking.
Okay, excellent. So I think a lot of colleges are in the midst of looking at their transcripts and different providers that help with their transcripts. So I think maybe the next survey, Monty, we should send that out to the student development administrators. That should catch this group as well. So
I got seeing people saying they want to be part of that. So I may just send it out to everyone.
Yep, there you go. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Any other questions about the about this survey and about the digital transcript? Okay, right now there's not anything in the law that prohibits a college to continue providing their transcripts to students upon request, as you currently do. It only requires that SCAA/CFI develop this one-stop spot for a common digital transcript across all three sectors. So at this time, we do not expect that this will impact what you locally do. This is definitely a state effort at this point. So that was another question that I had received from a colleague.
So we don't want you to panic. It's not happening right now. As we get through the process, we'll make sure to keep you informed on the stages of where we are. So we don't want to blindside you with anything.
Okay, thank you, Monty. I appreciate that. Any questions, send them to Monty or myself, and we'll do our best to help you out. Next up is
one more thing, boss man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Monty.
I was remiss on this. because I know I saw Sandra Lackner's name on the call and also Abraham Donas. We do have the FERPA training coming up on the 19th and 20th. So I want to make sure the colleges remember that. Most of you have registered. The training on the 19th is going to be at Isothermal Community College, and on the 20th is going to be at Durham Tech. So many have registered already. I just want to make sure I put it out there.
Excellent. Thank you. I
Thanks, sir.
appreciate that. Dr. Hughes.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone. I have a couple announcements. The first one is the pilot number 3, actually, with the Abler Group. It's the Disability Inclusion Preparing for Workforce of Tomorrow, and that's starting in March. That's with Dr. Mary Alvera. We have 35 slots. We still have many many available. We're targeting specifically CTE folks because it is funded by Perkins 5. We want CTE, work-based learning, and also employers. So if you're interested, it's just 5 modules. It's self-paced and tons of information in interactive videos. And it's just we've gotten really excellent feedback on working with your students with disabilities. So if you're interested, contact either myself or Dr. Alvera, and we can get you on the list. So like I said, we have 35 slots. We would really like to fill them, but we're targeting on who we want in those slots. Our NC Ahead conference is coming up really quickly. That's on March 12th at Winston-Salem State University. And that's a full day of presentations. And that's for disability service staff. The Reaching for the Stars conference for STEM students with disabilities is coming up April 6th at McKinnon Center. Last year, they had over 750 students coming in, bus all over the state, and Governor Cooper greeted everyone and took pictures. This year, they're expecting over 1,000. So I know I will be presenting on differences of K-12 through K-12 to post-secondary ed with disability services. And then I believe Aaron maybe will be having a table on the College and Career Promise information. And then, of course, behavioral health is convening May 14th and 15th at Chapel Hill. And then Disability in a Day, we're planning for that. That date will be June 10th at AB Tech. And right now we're just in the planning stage, but we're getting our speakers put together. So that is pretty much all I have, unless somebody has a question for that.
Well, Trudy, we did have, you did share some really good Title IX information, and I believe in an email. Do you have a second if you could just highlight those real quick?
Absolutely.
I think these are great resources.
Yeah, they really are. This came through a couple weeks ago, and basically the complete press release is the first link. Then it's broken down with asthma, diabetes, food allergies, and gastrointestinal disorders. And all of these different links have real specific information on following 504 plans, and also what are the most reasonable accommodations that we see, and that's for not only K-12, but it's also states, universities, and colleges are to follow these procedures as well. So that's why we thought that it might be really good to pass this on to, if not your disability services, but also your Title IX people, so that you're in compliance of these categories.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you, Trudy. I appreciate that. And any questions for Trudy and anything she's covered? Nope, I don't think so. Thank you, Trudy. I appreciate it. Hey, a couple of things in the chat before we move forward is Sandy, thank you for throwing in the chat the FERPA training link. Take a look at that if you haven't registered yet. And then thank you, Scott, for highlighting that there is some transcript regulation changes that we're expecting to be effective July 1st, having to do with when you cannot charge and hold and make holds on your transcript fees. So thank you, Scott. Thank you, Sandy, for highlighting those for us. I don't know if Brian is able to join us today. I don't think he's going to be here. Brian McCullough. he just wanted to make sure that we highlighted for everybody, for those working in student records, that he's got a upcoming webinar there, and you can see the date on that slide. Please share that with your registrars and anybody working in student records. Jennifer McLean is not able to join us today either. She just wanted to give a quick update, though, on a couple of upcoming professional development opportunities. And then also a reminder for those working with career coaches that if you have somebody changing in personnel in your career coaches, please let Jennifer know. That way we can make sure we get them invited to professional development opportunities. And that's even career coaches that are not supported by the state grant. We really like to have a good network of career coaches regardless of the funding source, so that way they can share best practices and build that network and those relationships amongst one another. So please let us know whenever you have personnel changes with your career coaches, and let Jennifer know that. Moving on to financial aid. Andrea, were you able to join us today? So as you guys know, there's the FAFSA simplification project that's coming from the federal government. And of course, that has impacted and delayed the receipt of the ICER data to our colleges. Regardless of that situation, shout out to Brandy Massey, Andrea Simpson, and the whole financial aid review team for their diligence to still accomplish the colleague setup files, so that way they could be downloaded and available at your colleges, even though you're not receiving ICERs yet. That was a difficult task, but they were able to make that happen. Registration information has been published. Those financial aid directors should be able to see that in a February 15th email from Brandy. So find that email and please register. We do highly recommend that the financial aid directors be involved in this setup training because there could be some policy implications to this setup because of all the changes at the federal level. So we really encourage that the financial aid director be involved in the training. We hope that the guidebook will be out soon here in the next week or so. And our most recent information that we received is that ICERs are still on target to be available sometime at the end of March or beginning of April. If we learn anything new about this, we'll definitely let you know. Keep your eyes open, either from Brenda Burgess or Andrea, myself, or from Brandy Massey. So any questions about the FAFSA simplification project and the setup? All right, Scott, I'm hoping you're still on. Did you endure to the end here, my friend?
I'm here.
All right.
So just a quick reminder to everyone that the joint conference will be happening in 2 weeks from this Thursday and Friday. So I hope you are registered. It's going to be a great 2 days of conversation and dialogue. The early bird registration rate ends this Thursday, so be sure and get your registration in if you haven't done that yet. And I sent out an email to the Student Development Administrators listserv last Friday and put a note in there about registration sponsorships. Our two organizations have decided to provide a limited number of registration sponsorships. If your organization is having any needs any kind of financial assistance to help with you being able to participate in the conference. So just reach out to me if that's an issue for you and your institution, and we hope to see you at Forsyth Tech in a couple of weeks.
All right, thank you, Scott. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again in 3D. So please take advantage of that opportunity. That's always a great conference. Next, we have the N3C SDPA. Is Sabrina available for us?
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, so we are hosting our, I guess, second conference since we've kind of revamped this organization this week on Thursday and Friday at Forsyth Tech. And I want to thank all of you as leaders of your departments, because we have almost representation from all 58. And we also have reached my goal of having at least 125 registered. We have a little more than that registered, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone and just appreciate your support for your staff and helping us follow our mission of building a pipeline of student services professionals.
Excellent. Thank you, Sabrina. And yeah, the rebirthing of the N3CS DPA has been something we've been working on, and Sabrina's done a great job, and Porter before that, just getting this this organization going again. As a reminder, this organization is typically for your registrars, your director of admissions, those director level middle management people on your campuses. And so this is a great opportunity to build a network, and I look forward to seeing everybody this week at that conference. So thank you, Sabrina. I appreciate that. Is Andrea here with us from the Student Success Center? Yay, there you are.
Hey. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. I'm going to put something in the chat just so everybody's got the information, but I wanted to talk a little bit about our Equity Academy. We've got such an incredible opportunity for anybody who's interested in facilitating inclusive conversations. As we know, our student populations are changing. We have more adults coming in than ever. We've got people from all different goals, professional and personal goals, coming back in for this reskilling and upskilling initiative that we know is coming our way. And so we've got an opportunity through Keisha Jones, who leads our equity work across the state, is doing another academy. The last one was amazing, and it's been retooled to have in-person leadership sessions on how to facilitate conversations, how to get started, how to look at data, how to lead teams. And then there's an implementation phase where you can go back and actually do some of the work with a mentor to see what it feels like and looks like, and learn with others. So please check the link on our site for more information. Latanya, yes, we even have a testimonial from some of our students. It's really wonderful. I really highly encourage you, if you are leading teams and you know that you are looking at your data and there are equity gaps in your data, or you are concerned that there are not really intentional strategic programming that's happening to be inclusive of all of the different types of students that are coming through our workforce pipelines and programs, please consider sending somebody, or at least reaching out and asking more about it. It was amazing. The other thing I wanted to mention was our guided pathways. We did do an initial recording of our first session, and I'm going to copy that and put that in the chat for anybody that wants to see it. You should see a hot link in the here. It's just a video that we put on YouTube. We are launching a new cross-sector survey that has come from the Teachers College at Columbia, CCRC, Community College Research Center. And essentially what this will do is help teams gather people from across the institution to identify clear guided pathways for these high wage, high growth opportunities that we're really aligning to our workforce needs. We've got some opportunities to talk about a summer kickoff, some professional development with keeping students on the path with holistic student support, as well as trying to work with the pathways that were created through the REACH grant. There are some academic pathways that have been created, and we want to take those pathways and move them into student-facing journey maps. So you've got a collection of courses that are really in tune with the local labor market. How are you putting that information out to your students? We also have been working with JW and Monty with the Strategic Enrollment Management Project, in that if you want to move forward in guided pathways, and strategic enrollment management in one of those pathways is something you want to focus on, we are going to combine efforts. We are very, very committed at the system office. One assignment for multiple professors. So how are we all getting together and really helping bolster your work on doing stuff that you already want to do? So we're just here to provide some additional support on that. We do have 3 more info sessions that talk more, 4 more info sessions that talk really specifically about what it is that it would look like. So what does the doing the assessment look like? Will I get a state coach? What are some of the things that I might want to look to do? How do I connect it to my strategic plan, my SEM plan, or my QEP? So there's a lot of questions that you might have. And we wanted to basically just let everybody know that we recognize everyone's at a different kind of level of adoption in guided pathways. And so we're here to support you no matter what your guided pathways work looks like. And once we get one of those pathways done and we think about how to get feedback, center the student voice, get in front of our employer partners and our K-12 partners, and really make sure that we're publishing something that is clear. So we've got clarity on the paths. We've got more people entering the paths. We've got the holistic student services to keep people on the path. So anything that you want to do to learn more about that, I'm going to put this in the chat as well. These are sessions that are available for you to come to. Bring a team if you want to, and you're not already set up to come. You'll need to register, and the link is in there for that. The final thing is that we are working with Jobs for the Future. As you know, the Student Success Center, in partnership with Programs and Services, Dr. Lane Freeman, we have been rolling out AI foundations training, and we've got an AI community of practice, and that meets the second Wednesday of every month. And it is a phenomenal place to come and learn about new things and kind of figure out where you are in your campus on some of the AI related issues. We've learned that there are colleges that are putting in icons to help students in syllabi understand what portions of assignments are being used for AI, what is not okay for AI. We're delivering support on how to create AI resistant assignments. So there's a lot of information there if any of you are interested in that type of work. We also are doing a session part 2 for all of us as professionals to figure out how do we use generative AI and large language models to help us be more efficient in our programming. So watch out for that part 2 coming out from Dr. Freeman through the Student Success Center. Having said that, we have a lot of interest from a lot of colleges, and we have a lot of interest from our partners at Jobs for the Future. They are interested in doing an AI roundtable with the state of North Carolina because we are leading this work across the nation. We are the first in the top 3 first states to publish AI guidance from our Department of Public Instruction, and that is out on their website if you wanted to go to DPI to look and see how they've published it. But essentially, it's going to be a competence, and we've got to figure out how to really improve that technical skill set of our learners. Our employer partners expect our college students to know how to move into their spaces and help them on cutting edge stuff. That's what they want us to do. So we've got to figure out how to put it as a competence and get it in front of everybody. We want to do a state roundtable to really figure out what it is that our state needs. So please look out for an email that will come from me with a survey on it that asks, what type of support do you want? Is it policies for your campus? Is it more training for your faculty and staff? Is it working out institutional competency definitions, which we are working on across our state? So look out for that email. Let your voice be heard so we can deliver the kind of guidance and resources that you need to further your work.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that and appreciate all the work of the Student Success Center. Our partnership with you guys has just been great over the years, and we're really appreciative of your expertise. Thank you very much. I know we're a little over time, everybody, so apologize about that. We definitely gave you a fire hose of information today. Please, this slide is just our updated meetings, and this is the Student Services team. And I will pause pause and stop there and just tell everybody thank you so much for everything that you do to serve your students. We will do our best to continue to serve you. And at this time, we'll officially end the presentation today. However, I'll end the recording and I'll hang out a little bit if anybody has any questions. Thank you, everybody, for what you're doing for your students. One more time, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys have a great day.